Yeah, just one thing I like. Oops. One thing I like to share is that one type of resistance we encountered quite a lot is the lack of time. You know, people say I just don't have time. You know, I'm so busy that I don't have time to put like 20 minutes to meditate in the morning. And actually, we find it quite useful to present it as a return on investment and to see mindfulness as a return on investment in terms of daily productivity. You're just going to be more efficient, more focused. I mean, this is not the only effect, but this is one of the benefits. You're just going to be more attentive, more focused, more efficient. And in the end, you know, if you invest, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes in the morning, you'll probably save 1 hour of productivity in the day. So, you know, the ROI is positive. And that, I think that's a language that, you know, business people can understand. So you know, we tried, it kind of worked in some cases. And I think it's also important not to have too high objectives, you know, because a lot of people say I'm gonna meditate for half an hour every morning. Okay, that works for 2 weeks and then they drop because it's too much. You know? If they just take a 5 minute break, breathing between meetings, it's already going to change a lot their day. And that can be a nice start, you know, with very, very limited initial investment. You know, it's like when you invest in a new field, you invest a little bit and you see how it goes, right, before putting all your money into one basket. So I thought that's a resistance that can be overcome by talking about the notion of return on investment.
Yeah, and rather mentioning expectations. You don't have to start from where you are. Beautiful. Thank you. And so listening to everything that it came up, well, it was on a slide and was brought up for you. How do you think, and I will ask you to use the chat for this, on a scale from 0 to 10, how ready is your organization for a mindful initiative, you think? If you would start a mindful initiative today, how ready do you feel your organization is right now? I'm asking you to use the chat from 0 to 10. 7, 8, 5, 6, 2. Okay. 6, 7, 2. Okay, we have very different backgrounds and situations in the room. Tatiana on Neuromindfulness Institute 9. Beautiful. I'm curious to ask Cristina, how ready you felt it was your organization when you started your mindful initiative or your initiative?
You're talking about me.
I'm very curious to hear
Cristina. Cristina, thank you. Thank you.
No.
You are not put on the spot, Cristina, but it's nice that we share the same name and actually 2 names. I'm also Cristina Maria, so.
Okay, great.
So that's a sign that you are ready to start a mindful initiative.
I'm only planting seeds.
Good, those are important. Well, I actually started this initiative 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, mindfulness and the idea of well-being was just maybe a seed or a buzz, but it wasn't so well established with a lot of science in the background and a lot of figures of measurement. So back then, in my mind, the organization was a tool, but I had this very interesting internal urge to pay it forward and to create something that was making me get outside this inner resistance. And I realized after putting something together, a pilot, which we will discuss after in details, the organization was more ready than I was expecting it. And the people showed up, and that gave me the feeling that I should continue because it's on the right trend. So I would say it was around a 5 at that point, but then showing them and being both a pull and a push, meaning us coming with a program and also the people speaking about it and enjoying and spreading the word. I would say now it's around an 8, but still there is some resistance. It's always it's human nature. So I don't believe in a 10 ready organization unless it's the Neuromindfulness Institute or the Mindful Facilitator Institute that work with this kind of concepts.
Thank you for sharing. Wow. So from a 2 to a 5 to a 8, you mentioned. Yeah. And that's a journey. That's probably, yeah, a lifelong journey. Beautiful. So as Liliana mentioned at the beginning, I am an organizational coach and an agile consultant, and the kind of helping organization and complex scenarios, navigating change and driving initiatives is kind of my job. And as a general rule, in any intervention, we always get to a point where we hate our life. At a certain point, it's hard. And, you know, if you live in an organization, you know, it's driving change is very hard, especially again in complex environment. And what I feel is really valuable to remind is that mindfulness initiatives are no different. Sometimes we feel like, okay, we are going to start a mindful initiative, everybody is going to be chill. No, human brain resist change. And if we enter an organization with an attitude of, I'm going to plug mindfulness on it, is not going to work. So as expectation management here, if we push any change, we'll get pushbacks. And we, as Cristina said, there is no such a thing as a 10-ready organization. Not everybody will be happy to integrate mindfulness practices, and that's absolutely okay. And if you have a lot of experience in mindfulness practice, you know how hard it is, like sitting with our thoughts and being mindful and being conscious about everything we do in our life and in every level of the organization is a big effort. It doesn't come for free. It's not simply closing your eyes and be chill. It's an enormous effort, and people will also oscillate into it. And so it's absolutely okay. And the last piece is that good things take time. Gandhi said that good moves at snail's pace. And so, yeah, everything that we start, we have to start with this attitude of patience and see where we are and see how we can move one little step at a time. And in the Mindful Facilitator, those of you who are in the course, you already saw this image a lot of time. And just for giving you an overview before leaving the floor to Cristina, just to go into it. What we touch in chapter 8, I believe, is how to start a mindfulness initiative. And so these are a few steps that we feel we should aim to touch for helping ourselves going through it in a structured way. And one thing is finding a light. So it's very hard to drive change on your own. So the first thing is starting chatting with people, understanding who would be willing, you feel the same way about mindfulness and well-being in the workplace, who are some people that could start building an initiative with you. And of course, peers are great people for doing that, but also your leader or even executives. The more we vary across the organizational layer, and the more, of course, we'll have success. We just have more buy-in, even discussing about budget and how to allocate time. Arnaud brought up the kind of resistance of people feeling I don't have enough time, this is not relevant to my job. If we have an executive vouching for us and how good this is for you, how a good return on investment it is, we'll probably have more people hearing about what we have to say. And third, we have start a pilot. So starting small, maybe starting from the people around you, your little team or the people you have access to, and not starting with the ambition necessarily of having an organizational wide initiative. So start from where you are, starting small, start collecting data, map result. That's our first or fourth step here. Understanding what the organization is interested in, what are the pain points. For example, retaining talent is a problem in that moment for that particular organization. Maybe you can use that as a result, as a metric of success. You can iterating on and see if there is any difference at all. And finally, focus on self-sustainability. A good initiative is something where we can make ourselves redundant, we can remove ourselves from the equation, and the initiative will keep on going. So ideally, what I did that I love was starting a mindfulness guild. So a group of people that were equally responsible and passionate about the topic. So that we had a few facilitators, few people helping running trainings together with me. and making part of the organizational culture, and be patient and watch it, make it these to become wider and wider with time. And with this little overview, I will leave the floor to Cristina and hear what is your experience about it. We had people joining today because Cristina is so amazing. And so I'm really looking forward to hear what you have to say. Please, floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Again, because the recording has not started at the beginning, we had some technical issues. I will present myself again. So I'm Cristina Ionescu. I'm working for 20 years now in this big four corporate called KPMG. Not sure everyone is familiar with the company, but that's not important. What is important is that it's a global organization, but also with a local footprint, and it's an organization made out of people. And in the country that I reside in, which is Romania, there are 1,300 people. So the organization is rather a large organization where you can become visible, but you can also be one of the many. So during my lifetime in the organization in 20 years, what has become visible to me was that I need to somehow feed my very analytical brain and a lot of projects and a lot of career-oriented thoughts and so on. I need to balance them with something that is a bit more grounded. And in time, I had two moments that led me more towards a more mindful person. And one moment was the birth of my two little daughters, which are 10 and 12 now. And the second moment was the moment when I started more actively engaging into mindfulness activities myself, because I so needed that in order to have this inner peace, space from which I was able to do something, and I had the willingness to pay it forward, to do something more, and to leave a legacy. And I mentioned this because it was from this space of wanting to do more that I found the drive and the motivation to create and to overcome initially my own resistance, then the resistance of the organization, because many times when I say that I have implemented this in KPMG, what I get back as a feedback is, but of course, HR Global told you that you have this, you receive the tools, and then you just deliver. And I'm like, that's not really the case. As with all these changes and new subjects, you actually need somebody to shine the way, to create the way. And afterwards, it becomes a path that is already, let's say, can be copy-pasted. You need an inspiration and you need courage. And I actually got the courage from my own personal experience in the pandemic, when I was, as probably many of you, a bit shocked by the fact that I was at home for a while with a lot of residual stress, a lot of projects somehow being put on hold. And I needed to find something to get me on my path. And that's when I found yoga. And it stuck with me. So I said, I'll do it as a challenge for 1 month. And then it stuck with me for 6 years now. And in the same year of the pandemic, the Neuromindfulness Institute also came with the training of neuroscience and mindfulness. As I was already experiencing the mindfulness part, I wanted to understand, my mind wanted to understand the why. Why am I now more calm? Why am I more focused? Why am I more efficient? Why do I have more power? And I'm not so tired as I used to be. So why, by doing just a few things every day, I can enjoy all these benefits? So by becoming a neuromindfulness a coach and facilitator, it brought me the why for the mind to be convinced to do something more. And I wish I had this framework that Liliana and Maria so nicely put together, and that I also went through and I loved, and it's confirming an experience that I have had through these 3 years of delivering this program. And with this being said, I think you are curious to understand what is the program and how I thought about it, and what was the journey, actually the story that I created. And as Arnaud well said, I didn't focus on numbers. I didn't want to reach a number of people. It was a pilot just to share and to inspire other people to become less focused on the work, on the do part, and more focused on the being, and integrate into their lives more well-being little snippets, so to say, so that they can become, or they can take a hold on their own well-being journey. And between the sponsors that I chose, of course, it was our human resources. And I asked them, what do you feel about delivering, me delivering a well-being experience to the organization? And I knew that we had these initiatives internally. I knew that it was possible and I would have been allowed, because I was also part of leadership. And when you have the power to also be part of the business, so to say, it's a bit easier for such initiatives to happen. And they said, sure, but it's still going to be you to deliver it. And you should do everything in the back, and we'll just support. But the support was very important to me, because it gave me the, let's say, the system and the background at the organizational level for me to play with this. And it took me 6 months. I was every day saying, I'm going to stay for 1 hour and think of what I want to do. And then life happened. And it was actually my mind and the little imposter there asking, are you going to do this kind of program? Do you expose yourself that you are doing yoga and mindfulness while you are also one of the leaders? What is that going to do to your personal branding or to your inner reputation? But still, I was so much enjoying the results, and I was getting from there the courage to actually do something, have a say. So one morning, I just woke up with this inspiration, and in 2 hours, I thought of how would I want this journey to look like. And I called it brain fitness, because it's not only about mindfulness, it's about mindfulness. Sorry?
We can hear you. Go on.
Super. It was actually giving the people the feeling that we are empowering our brain. We are doing more with our humanity than we are doing by just being there at work. And it spoke to them, this brain fitness brand, so to say. And what also spoke to them is that we are not going to do a mindfulness related program in itself, but more a journey that starts from the theory, that starts from the brain, that starts from science. And then in time, I built somehow the safe space where they could understand that it's in their own interest to start creating their own journey around well-being and emotional health. Be that for some of them, I don't know, 1 hour of meditation per day. For others, just finding moments around the day where they can do some 2 minutes breathing exercises and just release the tension. So it was all around creating a journey. And this journey was not mandatory. So the way I thought about it is to be as a journey, because we are giving birth to something, to a new us. I thought about making it a 9-month journey, like, you know, when you give birth and it takes 9 months for a little seed to become a beautiful human being. I started with 9 months that I thought about making it, first of all, foundation, so to build a foundation and the community around general subjects about the brain and the why and the system. So what we say, what we do in school, but more connected to adults rather than really theory. Then in part 2, so it was 3 chunks of 3 months. First foundation, then 4 sessions of theory split by, and I will walk you through as well how I thought about the story in the back. So 4 sessions of discussions around the topic that will be followed by other 4 sessions of practices or Q&A around the same topic. So basically allowing 1 month from the theory and the discussions to the Q&A, so that in this month, these people would, if they want to, of course, would actually engage into doing something or have aha moments or think about what we have discussed. All the time, I selected, for those of you who are also part of the neuromindfulness community and know all this about the elephant and the rider, we always say that the elephant learns by repetition. So for me, this was an important driver behind what I thought about the program. And I said, we need to repeat, not to teach, but to repeat concepts, to repeat the day when we are meeting, to have, like kids, to have a routine so that people remember to go into the routine and into the state. And the routine was all the time on Friday morning from 9 o'clock. So doing the first thing that they do almost at the end of the week, start the day with 1.5 hours to stay in a space where we discuss only this subject. And when I say discuss, it was more of a participative way, rather than really me telling them you should do this, look, these are the tools. So I was never connecting to their minds. I was always connecting to their souls and allowing my intuition to follow the rhythm of the training. So this was the first year. Of course, it was not easy for me. And of course, I built it all through the day. Just before the Friday, I was so stressed. What am I going to tell them? But it was much easier in the 2nd edition and in the 3rd edition, because to be honest, I didn't change anything afterwards. I just repeated, but I did change myself in the speech. I got much more trust in my way of delivering, so to say. And what was very important to me and to them was that I was part of the organization, and I was coming with examples, and I was giving inspiration that was speaking to them. So I was not somebody that comes to do a training. I was also wearing the hat of the person that needs to deliver, that has budget, that has KPIs, that live the life and has lived throughout the 20 years the life that they are seeing. Because generally they are saying, yeah, you can do it, but you don't know how it is if you are in my shoes. That's one of the resistance. So Maria, if you can go to the next one.
And I also want to mention that, Cristina, you're going to guide us through the program details, and at the end we'll have space for Q&A. So we'll stop the recording and we'll have some time for heart-to-heart conversation. So I invite everybody to note down your questions and everything you want to ask Cristina later. And I changed slide.
So basically in the first part, I'm just getting them on board and bringing them into the boat, into the same boat, by mentioning to them that what is the why behind? Why do we need to train the brain? And yes, this 10% is not necessarily a scientifically proven number, but it speaks to the people as long as it draws them to the idea that it's so little that we use from our capacity. It opens up a curiosity. And it's this first module where I'm actually bringing them on board and creating this safe space to discuss around, to understand that I'm not trying to change them, so that they see that it's not about change, it's more about expanding, about using what we have, about it's okay to not want to. It's okay to resist change. It's okay to have periods of meditation and then not do it anymore. So it's okay to just be as you are. And from this space of it's okay, you can actually grow. In the second part, if you can go to the next slide. In the second part, I also thought about creating a bit of a rhythm that was connected to the organizational rhythm, meaning the periods of peaks of work that were also connected to the seasons and the way that we are ready to hear or not hear, integrate or not integrate, depending on what the season is. And I'm sure some of you know that we are so much affected by if there is sun, if it's winter, about the temperature and so on. And what is important is that in Romania, we have this very big difference of the seasons. I didn't put anything for the summer because that's when there are vacations. So the summer is a lot for the practice part. But we started in the autumn towards the winter. So we started in the first module with really the brain science of how the brain is looking at the world. So we had specific sessions around memory, around attention, around cognitive performance, around the decision-making capacity. So basically the tools for the analytical, for the engineers. What are the tools in our brain and how they are actually functioning? Then what happened is between the modules, I was sending communications and other people were joining, or more people were joining, because it was free. It was more of a hop on, hop off experience. You can join anytime as long as you do the foundation. You can hop off anytime. The experience was that they were joining and staying. So we started with around 100 people, but we're ending up between 300 and 400. In the second part, no, you can still be in the, okay. In the second module, which was actually February and March, because of course we stopped for the Christmas period. I thought about bringing a bit more information for them on how to cope with the winter ending. Because on top of what we have to do, there is also this limited energy that we have because our body is functioning in a way that needs to cope with the exterior environment. So we spoke a lot about resilience, which is a trainable skill. And we focused on emotions and as well on breathing. Breathing from the perspective of the science, but also this is when I started introducing some real experience. But until here, they were already trusting me and they were already feeling that I'm not giving them a theory and then an exam. It was something that was available for them if they wanted to grab. If not, it was also fine. At the end of March, another break when they could also exercise and I could breathe because it was a commitment in itself to bring to life this long journey. But I truly believe in journeys and in little steps. And before the summer, this is when the sun is shining much more. We also have, the mind has had numerous ahas along the way, has also felt in practice some of these techniques or exercises or however we want to call them. So this is when we focused on how do we put all this together? How do we form the right habits? And Tamas mentioned as well about habits. In order to change the habits, we need to be convinced of the rightfulness of what we want to replace them with. And then it's not really a change in itself. It's more a pull towards something that we want to do because we are convinced that we want to do it. And this is as well where we focused on trust and human connection. So on the relationship part, and as well, real mindfulness practices. Meaning this is the moment when I myself had the courage to do a meditation with a team or to give them some advices on how to do a yoga exercises or to do Pilates or to do breathing and so on. And this is as well when the sense of community also started to be formed because people were also sharing a common language. And I think this is important, to share the common language and to feel part of the community that is not bringing something different to the world. It's looking more inside and bringing a more human perspective to the workplace. And if you go to the next one. In between modules, at the Q&A, we practiced. But at the beginning, the practice was not really practice. It was more focused on what they wanted to ask, what they wanted to find out more. At the beginning, it was not so easy to run this because everything was online. And it was not even possible to do one session in these 3 years physically. And the reason why is that it was difficult to bring all the people together because in each of these sessions, we were around, in the first edition, we were around 100 people. In the second edition, it raised to 120, 30. But in the third edition, we were around 180 or 200. So it actually became a wider scale where it's very difficult to actually create an experience. It's more about inspiring and giving the confidence that this is the right path and it's okay to speak about this subject. It's not, I don't know what, taboo thing. It's something so natural and so normal to turn inwards and to do something more with us. And at some point, people, what I loved very much was that people started asking and started coming with their own questions. And I was able to answer to them. And it was always from my experience or giving them some advice. At the beginning, my own resistance was, okay, you have these trainings, but still, you're not a doctor. What gives you the feeling that you can give them advice? And that was my own resistance, because people were not coming to me or to this training as to receive the tools. They were more coming to enjoy the energy and to understand. And because when they were listening to these things, it clicked to them. And they got the feeling, yes, they can do it themselves as well. And they were generally trying to find, and what I found out is that they were doing already some stuff. It just gave them more willingness to do more and to integrate more of these habits, healthy habits, into their life. So you might be probably wondering how we measure the results, right? This is just the fresh results, the top 3 results of the number 3 that just finished in this year. There is a bit of, let's say, research or know-how that we put in. When I say put, is that I was always trying to find the right solutions and think outside the box. So for this, how do we measure results? We had a large discussion with the Neuromindfulness Institute and with actually at that point it was Liliana as well, and I believe Maria as well, with us in a brainstorming session to think, how can you measure and what questions do you ask the people to see if they have evolved or they did something in their personal journey. Because it's not like at the work where you see some numbers in an Excel and you just think that it met the KPI or not. What are the KPIs that we want to measure? And the KPIs that we thought about is the body-mind relationship, the BMR wheel, the BMR that is branded by Neuromindfulness Institute. So the body-mind relationship questions, we had 10 areas. And what I asked the people is to remember, now we are at the end of the program, where they can do grounding exercises, where they can actually stay with themselves and be also correct with themselves, meaning speak their own truth. It was an individual exercise, nothing mandatory. We just told them, we give you 10 questions on these areas that are important to your own well-being wheel, and that will show you where you have to still work on, but also what is the progress that you did during these 9 months. And what you see here is the overall wheel for the last edition. And what we ask them is, be grounded, do a grounding exercise, similar to what we did together at the beginning of this webinar with Liliana. Do it for yourself, be in your heart, not in your mind, be connected to your own senses, and then just ask this question. And we had a question, read it. We had a question for each of the components, and just think on a scale of 1 to 7, how you were, what grade, how many stars you would give you before you started the program, and how many stars you would give yourself now. So there was no reason for the people to actually try to manipulate a bit the results, because it was in their own interest to show something and to do something that made sense for them. And what was extremely gratifying or honoring for us, and when I say us, is because in the third edition, it was not only me, I also brought in 2 other colleagues that were trained, and we formed a team. And what was very important for us was that people actually focused a lot, and the best results were on self-compassion. And in my own journey, self-compassion was the last one. It was so difficult to reach a place of self-compassion. And I'm still not maybe all the time there, but just by telling from the own experiences and by sharing vulnerability and sharing real life examples, it actually gave them the feeling that it's okay to be self-compassionate. And while not necessarily doing with them pure mindfulness exercises, because if I did a breathing techniques to inspire them or a meditation, that doesn't mean that it's a practice. A practice, as Maria said, comes with pain, comes with sometimes comes with commitment, comes with drive, comes with ups and downs. Is not a pink journey. But at the end, you become more free and you become more whole as a person. And it pays off. And because I truly believed in this, I was also able to transmit it and to come. I try to speak from my heart and not to do, I don't know, teasers or trying to make them show good results. I was totally open to whatever was coming and learning, because that's also a mindful way of looking at this and at life in the end. So yeah, this is the story of the 3 years of experiencing. After these 3 years, in each of the sessions, the delivery part was around 46 hours. Around 35% of the people chose to come in the second edition as well, because the elephant learns by repetition, and because they enjoyed the space that we're creating, and that whenever you hear something, you are different and you hear a different thing. We are now a community. It's not necessarily an active community, meaning I'm not spamming with stuff in the community unless there is, I don't know, a research, an interesting piece of information that I usually get from the community of neuromindfulness that we share together. I'm truly grateful to Arnaud and all his work in the back for allowing and giving all the materials, because I used all the materials and all the research from the Neuromindfulness Institute in terms of what was built as content, coming on top with my own experience. And by learning on my own and actually piloting this in the organization, I can also vouch, and I'm also very proud to have been invited by Liliana and Maria to share about their program, which, as I said, I wish I knew it before. Many of the things that I've seen while becoming certified as well as a mindful facilitator were things that I applied in practice, and I'm convinced that they are true. And I'm also convinced that it's not an easy story, but it's a beautiful journey. It raises us as human beings as well, not only as facilitators or as leaders.
Thank you, Cristina. I'm still absorbing everything you shared. Wow, so inspiring. Thank you very, very much. And as we said, I have many questions. I will hold and ask them at the end. And we want to wrap up, trying to using once again the framework we saw at the beginning, trying to link with everything that Cristina just shared with us. So one of the possible ways to go to start a mindfulness initiative is finding allies, finding people around you that are willing to embark on the same journey, that are motivated by the same things and share this passion. And Cristina mentioned it in the last edition. She had another couple of ladies, right, that run the trainings with you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then look for internal sponsors. So you mentioned that you had HR support and they gave you like a free, like empty canvas for you to experiment, but you had to do everything on your own. And you were you had an advantage because you're a leader. And so you could speak people's language and you could share, lead by example, right? If I in this position with all my responsibility and I benefit from these topics, and I'm telling you that's something maybe worthy to be curious about, maybe you should as well. And then you started a pilot and you put something out there and you gave yourself permission to experiment and you started iterating on that until fast forward 3 years later, you're confident and you're fully embodying what you're sharing and confident about the results that you're bringing. So for sure, it sounds like a big journey. And you shared with us that you mapped results so that you could share to people to bring more people into leadership. You could show the organization that this is something worthy to invest on. And you use the BMR framework, right? Body-mind relationship framework from the Neuromindfulness Institute. And finally, focusing on self-sustainability. Anything, you mentioned that one of the last sessions were about building habits and helping people to take whatever resonates with them so that they could move forward with these topics. Is it a good summary? Did I miss anything?
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay. Wow. So this is...
Yeah, maybe I can add something, Maria, here, because what I heard from Cristina was the importance maybe of communication, a good communication before and during the program and after, I think. So maybe we can take this also into consideration to have a good communication towards people, towards our team. And yeah, I think it was important. But I let Cristina maybe answer all the questions at the end, and she will tell us about this. Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, to wrap up with the theory part from our side, we wanted to announce that, so as you probably know, many of you already know, the Mindful Facilitator is an on-demand online program so far, because we just wanted, again, put something out there and see how it landed and starting building up on that. But we also collected the feedback that we have different learning styles out there, and some people don't feel very connected to the content if it's an online on-demand format. And so what we want to do is launching a live foundational level that is going to happen on 17 of November. So next month, yeah, today is October, next month already. And so you know that purchasing the Mindful Facilitator now, you're going to get access to the whole platform with all the material that is available offline and on demand, plus this live foundational level. So we'll have an opportunity for connecting with the community and practice together and be inspired by each other. We always say at the Neuromindfulness Institute that we are more than the sum of our individual parts. And so this is a way for us to bring this to life. And as a gift and celebration, because we are finally ICF certified, we have a little discount for you in this workshop today. So using the code ICF 2024, you'll have 200 euros discount. So the all the on-demand content plus the live foundational level will be at 395. within the end of the month, probably. We'll see. We'll check our social. We'll have some communication around that. And maybe before stopping the recording and passing everything to Cristina, I want to share with you real quickly what the modules are about. And I'm going to the Neuromindfulness Institute website or platform is hosted on their website, because our theory is heavily based on their content. And the part that we add on top is how to add mindfulness to our own facilitation, our own presence, and how to, as we share today, start mindfulness initiatives in the workplace. So let me share real quick the curriculum with you. So it's about really understanding mindfulness. So we kind of remove the part of confidence, where we don't feel we are confident enough, we are not competent enough to share a topic that we don't know enough about with the rest of the company. And we'll talk about how to deepen your personal practice, starting with a core where we feel, yes, my mindfulness practice is solid. I do feel benefits, and I want to scream it to the rest of my colleagues and the organization. And we'll talk about how to facilitate mindfulness. So it's meditations, breathing techniques, some mindful movement, and we'll provide you with recordings and scripts and videos, plenty of material for you to practice. And we'll talk about the inquiry process. So once you offer mindfulness or any other initiative, like Cristina shared, you'll find yourself in a moment where you have a room of people in front of you with questions, and we'll go through some inquiry techniques for hosting this kind of session, and to helping people to find their own answers and to facilitate their discovery in their journey. We'll talk about how to design a mindfulness-based agenda. So how to make every meeting, potentially every initiative, a mindful initiative. It can be a mind fitness program. It can be a mindfulness initiative. It can be a organizational restructuring initiative in a mindful way. The chapter 8 will be a lot of what we cover today, but of course in a much more granular way, how to start a mindful initiative, how to make it sustainable over time. And lastly, how to support mindfulness participants and make it part of the tissue of the culture of where you work. That's it from me. Liliana, anything to add from you? Anything I missed?
Well, for the moment, I think, yeah, we covered a little bit what we proposed to. So maybe we will wrap it out here, but leave space for questions, because I think there are many questions. Maybe one thing I would like to add, I wrote down some words and phrases like the good intention, the intuition, pay it forward, being instead of doing, or be in your heart, which usually don't use them in a corporate setting. But yeah, I think this kind of initiatives give us space, yeah, to be more human, even at the workplace. And yeah, I think in a profound way, this is our mission, Maria, to bring more humanity and human being into our roles in the organizations or wherever we work. Meantime, I'd like to welcome Veronica. She joined us. Veronica is the other mind from Neuromindfulness Institute. So so grateful to have you here, Vero.
Thank you. I was just a long story on the chat that I have to jump. I had a coaching session, another coaching session, and in between I was like, oh, I can actually join for more than half an hour. So thank you for facilitating.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, big thank you to Cristina, because she shared the story, and she's very open to share the story. And every time we invite her, every time we ask her, so it's really beautiful to see unfolding. And I was just sharing how much I admire her for two reasons. One, for working on herself so much, and being okay with not being perfect, because it's not a perfect program. She cannot deliver it like Arno. She cannot, and I cannot deliver it like Arno. We cannot be Huberman. right? But just doing it and taking things from there, and it's better than not doing anything. So I think she's a great example for me of having an impact, dealing with the maybe 10% or 5% of failure or frustration or things that don't work, and just putting it out there. And you need a lot of vulnerability, I think, as she said, to do it, because of course there are things that are not perfect. She's not a professional trainer. She's although she does it in a very professional way, but let's not forget her job is as a leader and to deliver results and money and grow teams.
Don't remind.
Which for me is really unique, and that's why we like so much to talk about her, because we are 650 people who have access to this content, and nobody, including us, nobody did what she did, and for that we deeply admire her. And now with the resources from the other program that completes a part that was missing in a way in the original training, there are even more resources. Not everybody wants to bring neuromindfulness or mindfulness in their organization, right? But this is a step forward. This program is a step forward for those who want and give extra resources. So very happy to be here and to see this happening. And I know it's going to be there are going to be a lot of people listening to the recording, because I got tons of messages this morning with people asking about that. So it would be great if you can send the recording as well. Thank
At
you.
least a part of it.
There's always a backstage, and that's the beauty of being live.
Yeah, thank you so much.